Okay, you are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Care Alexi, and this is my weekly accountability stream for my writing. This is Pantsing Like a Pro. I. Hi, Mom. She reached. Okay, so this whole stream started as a way to keep me accountable for the manuscript that I've been working on. I've been an aspiring writer for many years now, and this is how I recruited my friends and my family into making sure that I finish this manuscript, even though I'm totally pantsing it. So, welcome. Today, as you may have seen from the title, I intend to talk a bit about this TV show, or I guess this Netflix show. It's a Netflix show, right? Um, called called Jane the Virgin. Hi, Nikki. I'm so glad that you and Jack are watching. Also, yes, multitasking is totally allowed, right? I'm sure that most folks who watch YouTube multitask. I know Brendan does it all the time. I am actually not one of those YouTube multitaskers. When I watch YouTube, I'm usually like watching it, which I get the impression is actually unusual. But anyway, so as you know, as those of you watching know, I've been struggling for about the last month in getting any words down. And it's NaNoWriMo, and I was hoping that I would get some words in because, everybody's got that NaNoWriMo power and they're all like putting words on pages and things like that. But the words just haven't been happening for me. And one of the things I've been doing to fill my time instead, because I've just been so low energy and so like low spoons, no spell slots, whatever analogy you want to use, I've been just binge watching crap on Netflix. And I was trying to find something that was not that wouldn't be something I would need to like deeply invest in emotionally to watch. And one of the groups that I'm in, the writers groups, the G Squad server on Discord, somebody in there, or a few somebodies rather, recommended that I watch this TV show called Jade the Virgin, right? This Netflix show. And that it's a trip. That show is a trip. Nobody warned me that it was basically a soap opera. But I think somebody did say that it was based on the traditional like telenovela, but I totally missed that message. So I started watching Jane the Virgin, and it's not really my thing, but I kept watching because these shows are designed to make you want to keep watching. And I was always like, okay, this is interesting. I guess I could watch one more, click, and I'd keep going. But spoiler time, Jane is an aspiring writer as well. And at some point, she starts writing a novel and she ends up with writer's block. And I did not feel as though or think that what I was experiencing was writer's block. I felt like it was like a life block because I was low energy constantly. I was so like low energy. I was tired. I was saying I'm low energy, but I'm also saying I'm tired. And I don't know if you guys understand or feel like those are two different things, but to me, they're two different things. Um, and when I figure out exactly how they're different, I'll let you know. But yeah, I was low energy and I was tired. I had a lot of other things in my mind and I was really anxious. And yeah, I just kind of felt like the reason I wasn't writing was less because I had writer's block, perhaps, and more because I had all sorts of other crap going on. And I think maybe I really just had writer's block because I was struggling to get past to the next point in the book. I was kind of struggling to figure out what happened next. I think I figured out some stuff, which I don't know if you guys could see what's on the board behind me, but there's stuff on the board behind me. And there is some things that are, I thought there were things that I thought I knew was happening next, but yet I hadn't written those things, even though I felt like I figured them out. And at some point, and folks are chiming in. So Nikki says that not my thing, but I loved it about Jane the Virgin. Yeah, same thing. Like it's not my thing, but I'm actually really enjoying it. And Julie says, I used to watch that, but I stopped after some seasons. Can't remember one. It's funny and it is very dramatic. Oh my gosh. I watched the first episode of this show and I went back to the server and I was like, Olia, what Olia really tell me to watch do? Cause I don't understand how this woman not in jail and how these people not getting sued and how like I was blah. Yeah, blah. Anyway, but so I got to this point where Jane joins a writers group with the hope of trying to figure out what's stuck, what's making her stuck. And somewhere in there is the lesson of the problem is usually farther back than you might think. And this gem of wisdom was was a gem. It really was a gem. And let me explain. I think that many people, and this is advice that I've seen all over the place. People tell you just write. Just write. Just get that draft down. Just do it. Just put the words on the page. Just make it happen. Right? Make it happen. But when you get stuck like this, and the problem is further back than you think, the problem is not the last page or the last paragraph or the last line. The problem is 6 chapters ago. Or maybe the problem is at the beginning and not just as early as just 6 chapters ago. You know, the problem needs to be fixed before you can really move on sometimes. And you can't always just fix that problem in your head and say, yeah, okay, I'm going to go back and do X and then keep writing. Sometimes that's just not going to work. And I've been trying really hard to write, and this is dumb because I've definitely broken other rules, right? Like I've definitely been doing my own thing for the most part. But I've been really trying, for the sake of being able to finish this manuscript in a certain time frame, I've been really trying to just push through and write and make it happen and get to the end and then go back and do all of the polishing and rewriting. And that clearly hasn't worked for me. And I can't believe it's taken me a effing month to get to this point where I'm like, yeah, it ain't working for me. So I realized that I do need to go back and edit like I had kept saying I wanted to, you know? And I would say that I would do it because I have all my list of all the edits I need to make and what exactly I want to change and what I want to add and all of that because I've got feedback from my critique partners from my my act one or what I believe is my act one. And I haven't done anything with it, even though I've said I wanted to, because I've kept feeling like maybe going back to edit at this stage is not the right move. But you know what? Fuck it. It's the right move for me. And I've decided that it's the right move for me because the problem that I'm encountering now, even though I know what has happened in the past that I need to change for me to move forward, I think that that's the thing keeping me from moving forward. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to take all of my editing notes and all of my critique partner notes and I'm going to edit my act one. I'm just going to do it. And I don't care at this point anymore. I don't care what people say about how you shouldn't go back and edit in the middle of your draft and you shouldn't go back and do this and you shouldn't do that. You should just push forward and write the whole thing and get it done and then go back and do your edits. You know what? Screw those people. If this is what I need to do, and I need to write my whole act one and do all of that stuff over and change all that stuff and edit all that stuff in order to get back to where I need to be to push through and then finish it, fine. That's what I need to do, and that's what I'm going to do. So that's part one of how this TV show, this Netflix show, kind of helped me to fix the problem I was having. And just to catch up, Anjali says, I watched some. I thought it was great light entertainment. It is. And intrigued with my headline for today. Yeah, it is definitely. I was surprised. When I asked these folks in the writers group for something to watch, it was not with the intention of something that will help me to deal with this writing problem I'm having. It was with the intention of, I need something I can look at and turn my brain off at the same time. And this is what they recommended. And yet somehow it still managed to help me with my writing. Julie says that if you're into K-drama or Indian soaps, then telenovelas might also be your thing. I am not into K-dramas or Indian soaps, so this was very surprising that I felt like I enjoyed this. Nikki says the difference between low energy and tired is the difference between depression and sadness to me. Yeah, I actually think that's a really good comparison, Nikki. When I'm low energy, I I am not tired, like bodily tired, but my brain is just like, I don't know, my brain's gas tank is low even though my body's gas tank isn't. And when I'm when I'm low energy, that's how it feels. But when I'm tired, everything is like that. Maybe that's not quite right. Because sometimes when I'm tired, it's a body thing too, I know. And it definitely affects how my brain chooses to function. Today, however, today I think has overall been a good day because I did have this breakthrough a few days ago and I've been trying to figure things out. But similarly to Jane, again, spoilers, similarly to Jane in this show, the problem is with more than just her writing work. The problem is with her life. And I watched a show by my friend Julie today, and well, not a show, I guess. I watched a video. Julie is a YouTuber, and they did a bunch of Preptober videos in preparation for NaNoWriMo. And I totally delayed watching their latest video, which was their last Preptober video, the one they did at the end of October. And I didn't watch it because anxiety makes you do dumb things sometimes. And I just didn't watch it because I was like, oh my god, it's the last video. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be NaNoWriMo. Oh my gosh, like that was the jittery vibe that I had. So I didn't watch their video. But I did watch it earlier today while I was trying to prepare for this, in fact, because I was like, hey, maybe you don't pants this entirely because you totally had like nothing to say for the last 2 weeks. Maybe have something useful to say today. So I watched their video, and one of the things that Julie says in their last video was to prep your space. Prep your space and your schedule. Create a space for you that you feel works for your creative vibe and inspires you and will help you to get yourself into that zone of writing. And I really took that to heart because it's something I haven't been doing. I just haven't been prioritizing my writing. And don't get me wrong, I think that's something that a lot of us do. It's something that a lot of writers do. We need to prioritize rent. We need to prioritize bills. We need to prioritize groceries. You know, we need to prioritize the things that allow us to live. And until writing is that thing, it's really difficult to prioritize your writing. And because I haven't been prioritizing my writing, I wanted to compensate for that. And that's how it worked for the last few weeks, is that I was trying to compensate for that by having any spare time that I schedule into my day. I scheduled that to have writing time. And that failed miserably. I mean, earlier this year in September and October, I was definitely doing better with the words. I think my biggest hit was something like 2,500 words in a day. But I obviously could not sustain that. That was obviously not something I was able to keep doing because here I am having written nothing for a month. And I realized I need to be a little bit more deliberate with how I use my extra time and my spare time. And I need to be a bit more dedicated with my work schedule because I've been allowing my work schedule to overtake my personal time and time that I would use to unwind, time that I would use to get myself into a writing headspace or to creative headspace. And I need to not do that. And I know I've said that more than once because that's what we do. We say these things and then we just kind of don't pay attention to the things we need to do until something happens and you're like, crap, I've got to do it. And that's what happened to me today watching Julie's video. And so the problem is really further back than I realized because it goes beyond what I've written in this Act 1 and what I know I need to change. and it goes to my entire routine for maintaining my self-care. Writing had become a part of my self-care routine, and I didn't realize that maybe I was letting that go beyond what it did for me. Like I was pushing myself past the point where it was self-care, and instead of being something that replenished a part of me as much as it may have taken energy, it it was just too much. And maybe it was even too much too fast because I pushed myself. And I think that there was a good lesson in that pushing. But now I've got to apply that lesson, right? If I've learned it, I've got to apply it now. So what I did today, in fact, before the stream, was exactly that. I took a look at my work schedule. I had been allotting way more than 40 hours worth of time in my day for students to schedule me and other things. And so I've brought that down significantly so that I've got 43, I've got like 43 hours in the week, Monday to Saturday, available for students to schedule me. And within that 43 hours is also, time for me to do emails and time for me to do administrative work and time for me to do all of those things that are work. And not cut into my self-care time. And I've also gone back, and I know I talked about routines last week, but I felt last week I was just kind of a little helter-skelter, like I didn't really know what the hell I was talking about. But I've been able to give it a lot more thought now that some other things have settled, and I'm trying to schedule much more deliberately, not just movement time, which I did talk about last week, but when I give myself self-care time, like time to do things that are for me, that needs to include things like sitting down and coloring, okay? Like in my coloring book. And I don't care how silly you think that sounds. I'm going to make time to color in my coloring book. I've split up my workday into morning and afternoons because one, that's just kind of the natural way that my days kind of have to lie so that I can deal with my students who are 12 hours ahead, as well as my students who are 16 hours ahead or who are in my time zone. So I've I've got a bigger block in the middle. I've given myself a bigger block in the middle to do that self-care stuff, and that includes taking a nap if I have to, so I can get back into my biphasic sleep cycle like I was talking about last week. I've also um I've got notes here. Hold on, because I'm forgetting what I was supposed to say. I opened Scrivener for the first time today in ages, and it felt good. It felt good to open Scrivener and be like, "Hey, this is my thing. This is my work, and I'm going to do something with it." Because I've actually been super anxious about opening Scrivener for the month. It's been kind of crazy. I really haven't done it, so it was nice. But going back to space and creating that space, the townhouse, the place that my husband and I, that Brendan and I are moving to, in our office spaces, each office space used to be a bedroom because that's what happens in Trinidad and Tobago. Every room is a bedroom until you decide it's something else. And these new office spaces each have a small loft. And I think what I'm going to do is, and I had been toying with this for a while, but I think what I want to do is deliberately turn that loft into a writing specific space. A friend of mine recently, she was looking to move house as well. And she also works from home. And she was looking initially for a 1-bedroom space. And we had a conversation about how if you turn your workspace, if you turn your bedroom into your workspace or your living room into your workspace, you don't actually have a space for living or a space for sleeping. You only have a space for work, and it's always work all the time. I learned that lesson, or Brendan and I rather learned that lesson when we were living in a 1-bedroom place. And first, our bedroom was our workspace, and then we needed a bedroom that was just a bedroom. So our living room became our workspace. But then we didn't have a space for living. So, we didn't really have friends over as much, or if we wanted to just relax in the living room, which had like the big windows, we couldn't really do that because work was always present in some way. And we also didn't really have a lot of privacy when we were working. It was one of the things that prompted us to move here. But even this space has proven not really to be ideal for all of the things we need to keep work and play and sleep and family time separate, which is the big reason we're moving again. And because I know on that level how important it is to separate where I sleep from where I work and where I live and relax from where I work, I realized perhaps part of the reason my writing time was becoming less and less self care time was because I was writing in the same place that I was working. So, this setup right here where I work was also where I would write. And I think I need a different space for that. I love my computer screen and my keyboard and my desktop, and I love working here. I sit up properly most of the time. Most of the time, I'll sit up properly and I'll type or write or all of these things. But I think I do really need that opportunity to change my space so that I have a place that I can write in like a dedicated fashion where work, Facebook, WhatsApp, all of these other things aren't distracting me. And while I was writing here at my workspace, I think I did a really good job of sticking to sprints and sprinting when I was sprinting, and doing that, like writing when I was writing. But again, I obviously could not sustain that, especially when work started to take over, because I'd sit here to write, and because I knew that there was a work urgency or emergency at the same time, I would give up my writing and stop in the middle to work. And I think I really need to separate that. And I can't believe it's taken me so long to recognize it or to realize it or to make that move or that change. But I'm glad that it's finally happened. So when we move, one of the big things I'll be doing is creating a separate space for my writing so that I'm not writing at my desk where I work. Wish me luck. Hopefully, that loft can work as my writing space. If not, this is a big enough place that I should find something, right? Like, cross my fingers. I really hope I find something. Also, I think that it's going to have a benefit of, because I'll be using my laptop instead of this giant desktop with my, like, how big is the screen? It's like 27 inches of screen, which is not that big. I mean, some people have like 32 and 40 something inch screens, but I like, yikes, no thank you. But yeah, like the big screen is nice, but I think that working on that smaller screen is great because being able to fill up that small space of screen, I don't have to hack as much in terms of creating a small writing space on my giant screen, and that might work out better. Julie says, write in the tub. I might. The place we're moving to has a tub. I think that that's not a bad idea, except for the part where the laptop gets wet. I guess I can write by hand though. I haven't written by hand in a very long time, and I definitely type way faster than I write. So we'd see how that goes. Something else that I haven't been doing that I really need to work on again is my bullet journal. So I got all hot and sweaty and bought a bullet journal for this year, and I used it for like the first month or two, and then nothing, and then nothing. So most of my bullet journal is empty, and I think I'm going to take it and try to dedicate time for that every week. Because initially in my schedule, that's what I did. I did have specific time every day to visit my bullet journal. But again, I did not prioritize it. I allowed other things to get in the way of that, like work, like random crap. I don't know. And I didn't really do it. And I think that it's very important. I also asked my writing group, the big writing group, not my local writing group, but the G Squad group, for some ideas on good routines for writing and good habits to get into for your writing. And somebody said daily journaling or daily pages, which I think is a great idea. Oh shoot, yeah. Julie says Bujo in the tub. That's a great idea. I could bullet journal in the tub because that does not require electronics. I use colored pencils and pens for that. So that's pretty great. Julie is suggesting nighttime baths with candles and wine and Bujo reflection. I like the way you think, Julie. They have made an incredible suggestion. Julie, you're onto something. I might do this. Um, I think the biggest catch is that I've got to find a little bit more time at night. It's inevitable that I'm going to end up working from like 8 like until 8 p.m., sometimes 9 p.m. at night. And that makes, I think, a lot of my it cuts into my creative time because I work so much better and I write better and I have my mind is clearer and a bit more crystal for those things at night. And I have to work until 8 or 9 most nights because that's just the way my work it goes. Like the time zone thing makes it difficult for me to do anything else. And I really need to figure that out. If I can figure out how to end my workday closer to 6 or 7 every day, that would be incredible. And I think I would do that. But until then, finishing work at 8, I need to dedicate time to like my coloring book because I think that will help me unwind a bit faster than like 2 hours of scrolling through Reddit or Twitter or something. And then from there I can go into writing and maybe start my writing process a little earlier at night. But otherwise, what happens is that I don't have that time to unwind, and by the time I start writing, it's really late, or I'm just too tired because it's the middle of the night. And if I decided to do my bullet journal at the end of the day, yikes! Because that's even more time that I'm not doing writing, or I would need to unwind before I bullet journal, or my brain would still be buzzy with all of the things that I've done today and all of the things I need to lay out for tomorrow, which might be a good reason to do my bullet journal at the end of the day. But I'm starting to think that maybe what I really want to do is give myself a cutoff time of midnight. So even if I finish work at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., I'll use my late hours. I'll do my coloring book stuff. I'll do some stretches or whatever so that I have some movement. Obviously, I plan movement in the middle of the day too during my big middle of the day gap. But then if I do any writing time at night, that's great. But I definitely want to give myself a cutoff time, maybe midnight or 1 a.m., no later, because I definitely can't keep writing until 3 a.m. to wake up for like work in 2 or 3 hours. That's going to suck. So I want to give myself a really hard cutoff time. And I've also moved my workday to start earlier. So since I've moved my workday to start an hour earlier, which is 7 a.m. every day instead of 8, I'm thinking that there's hopefully the possibility that that shift means that I go to bed earlier and maybe I can even wake up an hour before then. Because right now I usually wake up an hour before my work starts at 8. So if I can start waking up at 5 or 6, then I can do what Nikki suggested, which is try writing in the morning. And even though that didn't work out so well in the past, maybe I can bullet journal in the morning and lay out my day at the beginning of the day early on instead of at night when what I should be trying to do is clear my mind and relax. So I hope that works. But ultimately, that's how Jane the Virgin helped me to figure this out, is because the problem is really further back than I realized. Not just further back in my manuscript, which means that I need to allow myself to go back and make the edits and changes I want to make so that I get over this little like niggling problem that's blocking me from writing and moving forward, but also the problem of not prioritizing the things that are my passions. Obviously I have to prioritize work for work reasons, the feeding and the rent and the stuff, but I really need to start prioritizing the things that make me happy. And I think that that's perhaps one of the reasons that I've been so tired, is that I had this great high of writing daily and hitting 500 words, 1,000 words, up to 2,000, 2,500 words. And then as soon as I was just too tired to do it, as soon as my spoons were just gone and all of my spell slots were used, I couldn't do it. And that was just demotivating me and demotivating me and demotivating me until I got to the point where I've just been afraid to open Scrivener until today. Julie says, yes, Chris does his journaling in the morning, brain dump before work. Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to do that. I've never been a morning person. I'm so bad at mornings. But maybe I can train myself to be better at it. So I'm crossing my fingers for that. Now, I'm going to take a look at my card and see if I missed anything that I said I should have mentioned or talked about today. And in the meantime, I guess you guys, if anybody has a question or a comment or something to follow up on, let me know in the comments. Yeah, I think I've covered it all. I think I've got all the things written down. I mean, I think I've spoken about all the things I've written down. So to conclude, watch Jane the Virgin, I guess. It was fun and it inadvertently helped me to solve some life problems and my writing problems, or at least I think it has. I've obviously got to dig into that editing process and finish it, and then I'll really know. But that's it. The freak is in his hair, but we are finished. Steven suggests gradual changes to my sleep pattern instead of a sudden jump. And he now reached. Oh, Lois. Yeah, I do intend to do a gradual change. So I've changed my hours, but those that will probably go into effect next week, not this week, like not immediately. And I do already have a tendency to wake up well before my alarm. And the cats are more than happy to wake me up before 7 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I think I'm just going to lean into what is happening right now and wake up when I wake up instead of, snuggle and wait for the alarm. It's going to be difficult not to snuggle and wait for the alarm, I will tell you. But I think that if I get myself out of bed, it'll be easier. It might also give me an opportunity to actually have breakfast instead of, have breakfast at 11 or 12 in the day and stuff like that. So yeah, I do plan to try to make it gradual, but sometimes I just have to go. You have to go straight into things, and I'm gonna suffer. I'm gonna suffer if I do that for a few days, but it'll be okay in the end, I think. Yep. Do the kitty cats know that they're moving soon? I don't know. So you guys can probably see the suitcases there. So we've started to pack things. We started last week, I want to say. Last week, maybe late the week before. Mostly our clothes is packed. A little bit of the kitchen is packed. Most of my office, like desk stuff, is packed as well. And I don't think the cats have any idea why. We only had one cat carrier, and it was used basically for vet visits. But I read that in order to make sure that the cats feel safe and comfortable in the cat carrier, instead of just using it for vet visits, we should lay the cat carriers open like in a just like an average space in the house, or even in a really safe space in the house, and let the cats go in there and sit in the carrier and just kind of turn it into a normal part of their landscape. So we've done that. We bought a second carrier and we've put both of the carriers in the living room. We haven't taken the doors off, but they're open, so they can always pull the grate open and go sit in it. Amaretto loves to do that. I haven't seen any of the other cats in any of the carriers, but we've still got at least one more week to go before the move happens. So we'll see. We're gonna move them across DC in one carrier and Tira in another. They'll be the first trip. And then on the second trip, we'll move Amaretto in one carrier and the babies in the other. because they're small enough that they'll fit in the one big carrier. And I think being together would help to prevent some of the anxiety, because I think that BB in particular is very anxious. So yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Nikki reminds me to always be kind to myself. I know, I'm trying. I'm trying. They do come apart top and bottom. We just haven't unscrewed. You've got to, so they've got this, they have clips, and then they also have like these bolts that you could take off to pull them apart. And I think that we will do that so that they are a little more appealing for them to jump in and out of, but we just haven't done it yet. I think we will, though, probably if like tonight or early tomorrow. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to take the bolts, like move the bolts off. Yeah. Do it now. It might be worth trying, and they'll sit in them more. Yeah, yeah. That's not a bad idea. Probably will. I wonder if ginger boys are just anxious. Tofu loses his mind in a carrier. Maybe. I mean, BB is also just so quiet, and like if I'm holding him, unless there's like a really loud noise or something sudden, he's very I mean he's usually very comfortable to just be cuddly and safe if you're holding him. I'm trying to remember what he was like when we took him in the carrier to get neutered. But Nikki says, don't anthropomorphize them. Anthropomorphize. Yes, do not push my anxiety onto them. I don't think we are. I mean, BB is an anxious kind of cat. Like, he doesn't like loud noise, and he doesn't like if there are people over, BB's under the bed. He's just under the bed. He doesn't like people. If people are here and they're here for a while, Amaretto might come out and she might look for cuddles and stuff because she just wants cuddles. She wants pets. And DC can't really be bothered with humans as long as they don't touch him. He doesn't care. But definitely BB is kind of a scaredy cat. So he's the one that I'm most worried about. I think that if we put him in with his sister, though, it won't be as big of a deal. Nikki says many pet owners do, and she says it with love and not judgment. I know, and I know that this is a thing that many of us do. I guess it's hard for me to. I mean, it's hard, right? When you are the pet owner in question, right, to figure out if you are anthropomorphic or not. Because I also think it would be, they do have their own personalities, right? Like they aren't just like slabs of stone. They might be animals, but they do have like preferences, and they do have things that they like and that they don't like. And there are things, and cats are known. I don't know if there are specific dog breeds or anything that are like that, but I know that cats are known to be creatures that don't deal well with change and that become anxious at the drop of a hat. So, for example, a few weeks ago, when we were spending a lot of time out of the house, when we were looking at apartments, DC was sick, like sick. He threw up, like you could ask my mom if she's still around, because she came here and she was sitting in my office with me, and DC just came right up to me and just vomited right at my feet, which is so unusual because normally he'd like hide if he were vomiting or something. And we were very worried. It was a Sunday. We were very worried. We wanted to take him to the vet, but it was Sunday afternoon, and we couldn't find anywhere. So we said, okay, we'll monitor him tomorrow, because he had been vomiting a little bit like every single day that we had been gone. He was showing signs of being sick, but we didn't know it was him or if it was another cat, or if it were multiple of like different cats, because they do that sometimes. Cats just vomit and then they're like, peace, I'm good now. It's weird. Cats are so weird. But he in particular has this stomach ulcer problem, so we were very concerned about whether or not he was sick, especially because we had been giving him his medicine regularly. So we gave him an extra dose. I say his medicine, it's just a freaking antacid. It's not like he's not on like drugs. He just has to get an antacid every week. So we gave him an extra dose of his antacid like that night, and we kept monitoring him. Oh wait, was it that night? I think we had given it to him on Saturday. Um, and then we didn't see any vomiting, and then on Sunday he like puked up as much, like he overate and then he puked up, and I thought I don't know, it was very, I think he overate anyway because it was food. Anyway, the point is that we monitored him afterward, and we didn't leave the house, and he never vomited again. And when I inquired with um we inquired with the vet and stuff, they were just like, well, what has anything been different, because he might be experiencing like anxiety and like other symptoms if stuff had been different. And I was like, well, for the last few days we haven't been home, or we've been gone early in the morning and we came back late at night or late in the evening. And the vet was like, yep, that was the problem. So there's the thing. Anyway, my mom says DC hates change and new people. Yes, this is correct, DC does. And Nikki says, true, I've owned cats before and they are more emotional, but cats are resilient. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that they're definitely resilient, but they are, it takes a second, like when we first moved into this apartment from the old one, DC, he was so shaken up. He was so shaken up, and he was alone for a little bit because we brought him across first. And he was alone here for the time it took for us to go and get the other cats to come back. And we only had one carrier to work with, so it was really difficult to figure things out. We have the two now, and I think that moving him and Tira together is going to make a huge difference because they'll have each other. And then moving the others over in the second trip would be similarly, would make things a bit easier. So we'll see. Anjali, my mom says that DC is very standoffish, but he always wants someone there, so he has someone to ignore properly. I think that that's fairly accurate. DC doesn't necessarily want you to pet him or touch him, but he wants to know that you are present. That's kind of how he is. And he definitely makes pointed statements. Yes, he is that kind of cat. Uh, anyway, so the last like 15 minutes has just devolved into me talking about my cats. Tollers take a second to recover. Springers could care less. So those are types of dogs for people who don't know. And I only know that Tollers and Springers are types of dogs because I happen to know Nikki. um, yeah, and I think that that's kind of like that for our cats. Like Amaretto, she'll recover quickly, right? Like she's really well behaved and she's really, she's chill. She's gonna get there, and I think she's gonna be very excited to look around the new place and run up and down and, find new nooks and crannies and places to hide and things to do and places to climb. But DC is not going to be like that. And I think that's the fundamental difference. Mushroom and BB's going to find a place to hide until Mushroom, summons her wits and she explores. And when Mushroom explores, she's going to come back to her brother and lick his face and like wait there until he leaves his hiding spot, right? And I say this based on experience. And Tira just kind of couldn't care less. Tira's just gonna walk about. She's not going to be as excited as Amaretto, I think. At least she's not going to display it the way Amaretto does. But I think Tira is going to be okay. It's really, I think, DC and BB who are the two boys that I'm most worried about making this trip and this adjustment. Yep, I love that that these conversations just often devolve into talking about my cats. They're such a big part of my life. They're my babies. Anywho, I think that unless there are any other questions, then we can wrap it up. I would like, so I know you folks like homework. So this is your homework for me, is help me figure out my new routines. I mean, it's going to take time for me to settle into them. I've definitely figured out I think my work schedule, but I do need to put a little bit more thought into the admin and email and other like non face-to-face work that I do at work. So I would like some advice if anybody has it, but also advice on things like, Julie mentioned that Chris would bullet journal in the morning. That's when he does his stuff. He just does a brain dump at the beginning of the day. I think that that might be a good idea for me instead of trying to bullet journal at night. So I'll be trying to make that switch to mornings and trying to actually use my bullet journal. I've got to figure out my coloring book and my motion and movement as well. Definitely, I need to take my afternoon nap sometime between 1 and 4 p.m. Um, oh, Julie says they thought I was going to say that the homework has helped me move. I would love if you all made that your homework, but not everybody is present in Trinidad, so not everybody can help me with that. If you and Chris want to help, though, I would be more than willing to take you up on it. We're definitely going to have to hire professionals to move the heavy stuff, like the fridge and the washer and the dryer, the stove, stuff like that. But yeah, that's yep. If you guys want to help us move everything else, that'd be great. Yeah. I think a few car trips is all it will take to get that stuff once like the big thing is and the appliances are gone. It's just, you know. Okay. Well, I think that that's it. I think that any more questions, comments, queries, conundrums, concerns, or complaints. Yes. Julie says that they can donate trunk space. Haha. I am totally taking you guys up on it. But yeah, I think that that's it. I think that we've talked a lot about the cats. We've talked a lot about the moving. I've brain dumped on you guys about my new routines and how much I've really realized that I've been kind of making a big mistake in not being serious, I guess, about my routines. I was serious about my writing, but then how can I be serious about my writing if I'm not making the space to write in a way that is healthy for me, right? So, dark hair. And that's it. That's how things are. The problem is usually further back than we realize. And thank you to the writers of Jane the Virgin who helped me to realize this. And thank you to the folks who put me on to watching this show, which I haven't watched in like a week or so, I guess. I decided to watch The Queen's Gambit instead, which was, by the way, also a really great show. But thank you to all of those people because it's finally brought me to this point where I have opened Scrivener for the first time in weeks and I felt good about it. And that is an invaluable feeling. Okay. Thank you for watching and listening. And I will see you all next week. Bye.